The power sector in Nigeria is experiencing a severe crisis, with generation companies reporting that the industry is nearly collapsed due to debt crisis surpassing 6.2 trillion naira in early 2026. Despite an installed capacity of over 13,000 megawatts, average grid generation remains stuck between 3,000 and 5,000. Gencos argue that they are not beneficiaries of subsidies, but the biggest victims of the current market structure, with payment collection rate dropping by below 30%. Now, research shows that as at February 2026, Gencos are owed more than 6 trillion naira for power generated since 2015. The debt includes roughly 2 trillion naira from 2024, significant legacy debt, gas supply constraints. Approximately 80% of Nigerian power generation is also gas-fired. But Gencos are facing severe gas shortages, receiving less than 43% of the gas needed for optimal operations in early 2026. Now, let's look at gas supply constraints. Now, approximately 80% of Nigeria's generation is gas-fired. Gencos say they are also facing severe gas shortages, receiving less than 43% of gas needed for optimal operations in early 2026. Gencos again says the sector seems to be in a state of emergency, with a liquidity crisis threatening to completely undermine the electricity value chain. My guest is Dr. Joy Ogaji. She is the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Generation Companies. Thank you so much, Dr. Ogaji. It's good to have you join us live from our Abuja studios.
Thank you so much for having me. Good afternoon.
Heard about it, currently facing severe multidimensional crisis, primarily driven by liquidity crunch, debt owed to them exceeding 6 trillion, like I said in my introduction. Give us your thoughts around this development and what it means for the industry. I am worried that years after privatization, we are still at this point.
And then 6 generation companies. I was part of the team. I was then with the Presidential Task Force on Power, working to ensure that power became something that is effective and viable or sustainable. Now, the privatization, all the documents of the privatization were right. We did everything right. We got all the necessary documentation, bid documents, evaluation, performance agreement, share sale agreement. Everything was done as it ought to do. Where the problem started was in the implementation, when we now brought Nigerian factor into it. Instead of implementing stricto sensu, as the lawyers may say, strictly as it is written, we started putting Nigeria factor into it. Secondly, people who were mandated to monitor the performance of this privatization, as in the generation companies and the distribution companies, according to the performance agreement. The performance agreement gave them a 5-year performance period, that within the 5 years, there were key KPIs that they must meet. And if they are not able to meet those KPIs, then there are also things that should be done. I represent the generation companies, as you have introduced me. And so on 2018, I spoke with the Gencos through my board, and we wrote to BP requesting that they should come and investigate or evaluate our performance, because it's 5 years. If you check 2013 to 2018, October was 5 years, yes, according to the performance agreement. And we didn't get anybody come. Neither did they respond to our letter. The letters were not just sent only to BP. It was sent to NEC, it was sent to the office of the vice president, the then office of the vice president. So we sent all these letters and we didn't get any feedback. So what we did, we engaged one of the former general counsels of BP during the privatization, because of his institutional memory, to come and carry out an evaluation of the generation companies. And we also submitted the outcome of this. It showed, and BP, federal government, has not said that Gencos failed, because the performance agreement required that they should ramp up capacity to 5,000 megawatts within the 5 years. And by 2018, if you check the generation statistics, I sent it to the studio. I don't know if you are able to show it to Nigerians. they can see that as at 2018, we have far more exceeded 5,000 megawatts on the grid. And with an installed capacity that was going more than 13,000 megawatts as at then. As at today, I'm speaking to you, we have installed capacity of 15,500 megawatts, out of which we have available capacity of 7,000. Available meaning today, if they want it, we can give it to them. However, transmission and distribution cannot take more than 4,500. If you check the statistics that I sent to your studio, if you are able to display, you will see that from 2013 to date, we are taking between 3,000 and 4,000. It's not even up to 5,000. It's not even up to 4,500 yet. Because once you put power on the grid and it gets to 4,005, the grid will start shaking. And also, the distribution companies will not want to take more because according to them, they are managing their invoices. That if they take more power, the people will not pay, that Nigerians are not paying. But then if you ask Nigerians say they are paying. So when you ask Nigerians, customers, oh, we are paying, no, and distribution companies say they are not paying, then between the two of them, somebody may be telling something that is not accurate. And so who is responsible for investigating and ensuring that parties and all the agencies stop blaming and throwing stones at each other? As we all know in secondary school, when you are in class, we all have monitors. When the monitor is sitting there and people are still throwing stones, it then means that either the monitor is not a strong monitor, or the monitor is not capable of monitoring that class. So that's what I will say in response to that your question. If I have answered, let me know.
Yes, you did. You did pretty well. But approximately 80% of Nigerian power generation is still gas-fired. I think Gencos, you guys also face constant issues with gas volume, quality, pressure, and transportation. This is also of concern. Can we speak around this?
Thank you very much. Now, like I told you, the privatization was well designed. And the design was that the market will be contract-driven, end-to-end. So there are so many contracts for the generation company's business. They have nothing less than 12 contracts as Gencos. And this is not the platform to list them, but some of them are the PPA. We have, as I've mentioned, the share sale agreement, the performance agreement, the gas supply agreement, gas transportation agreement, which is now the network code, and the grid connection agreement, ancillary services agreement. There are so many. There are like 12, and I didn't want to bother Nigerians with all those technical languages. So these contracts should be so designed that end to end, as a generation company, I need to, in order to collect gas, I need a firm contract so that if the gas supplier does not give me gas, there are penalties for him. And if he gives me gas and I don't use it, there are penalties for me. Currently, we don't have that strict contract setting, except for just 5 Gencos. We currently have 30 grid-connected generation companies, grid-connected, 30 power stations. In fact, among the African countries, Nigeria is one of the countries that, especially in the West African region, that is well positioned to be able to provide adequate power and efficient energy access, universal access to its citizenry. Because we have the base load, which is the grid-connected power plants that have the capacity to sustain our industries. Then we have a lot of solar and mini grids coming up. So all we need to do is to sit down and manage these things so that we have stable electricity for our members. So as you mentioned, quality of gas, whether supply, quantity of supply, could have been captured in those contracts. But because there is no firm contract, what we're operating is what we call the best endeavor. Best endeavor means whenever I get, I give you. If I don't get, I don't give you. And waiting, I give you. If it is not good, you can't complain because there is no contract. If there is a contract, you can complain and then tell me to pay you damages. But in this case, whatever I give you, you take. And the danger of polluted or lack of quality gas is detrimental to the generation company's plants. This is because when you don't give them clean gas, their machines will be clogged. And a lot of it increase their maintenance cost on the machines. So what we need is sanctity to contract, firm, effective contracts on all the various points, from generation to gas, from generation to from gas to generation, generation to transmission, transmission to distribution, system of NISO. All contracts that are necessary to move the power sector should be all made effective. And we must start learning to respect the sanctity of contract. Because it's only when we respect the sanctity of contract and don't bring in Nigerian factor into it that the sector will move. This is how Egypt is moving forward. This is how Morocco, all the North African countries, they have met 100% energy access, and now some of them are now net electricity exporter. Egypt is one. Morocco is already coming into the West Africa to start selling us power. Meanwhile, we have 30 grid-connected power generation companies with an installed capacity of 15,500 megawatts with an expansion plan to expand it to up to 30,000 megawatts. I don't know if that is okay for you, because where it came from, there
so
are more
let's take it from there. That how many megawatts do we now need to generate for constant, uninterrupted power supply for a population of almost 230 million persons? Is it achievable? Assuming you're given the opportunity, can you summarize what you would do differently?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's a very good question. And just a minute, because I will need to make reference to what I will do, as if I knew that you're going to ask this question. Normally, the global standard for power generation to the population is 1,000 megawatts to 1 million persons. Currently, according to the World Bank, Nigeria has a population of 230 million. So if you go by that mathematics, even though I'm a lawyer, I think I'm good with my arithmetic. If you go by that number, you will see that we need 230,000 megawatts. That means for each person, we should be allocating, if it is 1,000 megawatts to 1 million persons. So that is how it should be. That is global standard, okay? Now, however, let's come back home, because whenever people speak, oh, South Africa is generating 54,000 megawatts. Look at us, we're still on 4,000 megawatts. So this is the storyline. We have always spoken about our population. But one thing we need to know is, what is demand? That is bankable demand. There is a difference between our population and defining bankable demand. What is bankable demand? Bankable demand is a demand that is backed by money. By money. Show me the money. Show me the money, not just give me power. So, first of all, we need to define bankable demand. Now, according to the system operator, he said that Nigeria needs about 28,000 megawatts for all the citizens to be able to be to have access to electricity currently. So let's work with the 20,000 megawatts, 28,000 megawatts. If we are working on the 28,000 megawatts, we need to work it from what is currently available, because we cannot go and fetch power elsewhere. So let's look at it. Currently, we have 15,500 megawatts. Out of the 15,500 megawatts, 7,000 is available. So if I am in charge, if I were given the opportunity to be in charge, these are what I'm going to do. Number one, I will appeal to the president to make power a priority for this government by providing direct access to him. Whenever there is challenge in the power sector, I can access him, not through third party. I will just access him and speak to him and tell him this is this, and he will give me approval to run. Because the power sector is very dynamic. We cannot mix politics with it. Number two, I will ensure a regime of sanctity of contract, which I've told you, and ensure market discipline. There's a lot of indiscipline in the market. There are so many laws, but monitoring and enforcement is very slim. like every other sector in Nigeria, not only in power. I will ensure regulatory transparency and effectiveness hinged on meritocracy. I don't want to throw too much light on it because you said I should summarize. Number 4, I will ensure alignment of all policies. There are so many policies that are not aligning. For instance, the just recent launched, about 2 weeks ago, launched industrial policy. It's not in alignment with our vision 30-30-30, which says that we should generate 30,000 megawatts. Out of that, 30% should come from renewable, and the rest should come from the thermal power plants. If you look at the industrial policy, it's just looking at minimum 25% renewable energy. You and I know, and any other expert, I stand to be corrected, that solar is good, but it cannot drive industrialization. Solar is not driving industrialization in any part of the world. So we need to have base load, what we call base load, loads that are steady, loads that are strong. So when the sun dips, those base load can still carry our industries. Another thing I would like to ask is I will ensure mandates are assigned for all power agencies, all the agencies of the power sector. I will design mandates, KPIs for all the agencies, and I will be monitoring them every 6 months, like an evaluation of where they are and what are the issues so that we can move forward. Then, in designing the market, I will design the market in phases. Number 1 phase, within 6 months, starting from today, I will ensure optimal utilization of the available capacity, which is the 7,000. It's already on ground. I will ensure that we quickly ramp up and ensure both distribution and transmission can take that 7,000. That's my first phase. And it can be done within 6 months. Number 2, second phase. Within 1 year to 2 years, I will recover the unavailable capacity, which currently stands as 8,000. Because if you check the difference between 15,500 and 7,000 that is available, is about 8,000 that is not available because there is no money to recover the machines and make them to start generating. With 35%, and we are owing a gas supplier 70%, how do we share the 35%? Do we share into 35 places, or because it's not only gas suppliers we are owing. We are owing the OEMs, we are owing the operation and maintenance, spare parts, we need to buy spare parts, and all these are in dollars. And we don't have a forex window. So the second phase, like I told you, I will recover unavailable capacity, which is currently standing at 8,000 to boost available generation. However, key bottlenecks persist around transmission and distribution, which might hinder the grid as it stands today, and as it cannot take even up to 7,000 megawatts. So on that note, I will also congratulate the president for coming up with GAMCO, although we have not gotten full picture of what GAMCO will do, but it has stated that it will enhance the grid. So the devil is in the details, and the more we know, the more we'll be able to ask or respond to it. Now, to phase 3, I will ensure optimal energy mix, like I told you, a mix of the base load and the volatile load, which is the solar, the wind, the biomass, so that we have a steady electricity. If today we can make 10,000 megawatts available, Nigerians will not complain. There is no way they will complain. And so we can now do incremental increase from 7,000 to 10,000 to 12,000 to like that until we fully utilize the installed capacity. That will now give the generation companies opportunity to expand and implement their expansion plans.
Okay.
For Nigerians, aiming for 1,000 megawatt per million could be a reasonable target considering our development needs. But that would be a long-term plan for that 1,000 megawatt per 1 million.
1 million persons. Okay. Real sense. I see you highlight some key points now. Our time is almost up, and I want us to wrap up with the issue of this debt. What is happening with regards to the debt? Because there was a meeting which we saw all of the gas guys, Genco guys at that meeting, and there was discussion and plans for payment. What is happening? Can you give us updates on that?
Sorry, can you come again? I didn't get the question.
I'm talking with regards to the 6 trillion naira debt.
Okay.
What's the update with regards to it? Because I knew there was a meeting to come up with an amicable way of resolving these issues.
Thank you so much for that question. Yes. First, let me tell Nigerians how that money accumulated, because a lot of people, in order to take shine, they just throw stones at the generation companies without understanding the business model. The power generation companies sell power to the Nigerian bulk electric trader through what we call PP, or power purchase agreement. And all the terms and condition obligations are written in the power purchase agreement. I ask anybody who is throwing those stones, please pick up any power purchase agreement online, or tell AI to teach you how power purchase agreement is operationalized. Now, as a generation company, my responsibility in project financing, what I should be doing as a generation company, is to make my machine available, mechanically available. It is the off-taker, in this case, Embed, who should ensure that I have the necessary guarantee. And when I have the necessary guarantee, I will be able to post that guarantee to the gas suppliers to have a firm contract on gas, and also ensure that the transmission is also working. A situation where transmission cannot take more than 4,000, distribution is equally in that line. I'm imperiled. However, the power that has been taken is clear that it's only 35% that is paid. No one is arguing that. But the argument is on how did it accumulate to 6.8 by the end of February, 6.8, because every month is 200 billion. So between 2015 to December 2024, the debt increased to 4 trillion. There was a reconciliation done between generation company, the Ministry of Finance, Office of the SA Energy, and NBET. And after the reconciliation, they agreed the 4 trillion. It was the 4 trillion that led to that meeting we had with the president on the 25th of July by 3 o'clock at the State House. I was there as well in that meeting, where the president, after hearing our cry, graciously promised that he will approve 4 trillion as a bond and other instruments to quickly deal with that legacy debt. He called it legacy 2015 to 2024. He said, clear that while we design a solution for 2025. Mind you, this was in July 2025. Till date, as I'm telling you, the Gencos continue to receive just 35%. And yes, the government eventually launched the bond program. But the bond program has been able to issue about 501. Now, tell me, I'm sure you are mathematically inclined. If 500 billion goes into 6.8 trillion, how many times would that be? In a pre-election year? And how do we survive until after the election? There are more questions than answers. That's the update, sir.
Dr. Joy Ogaji, we need to have another half of this conversation. Yes, I think that's left to you. I'm throwing it open. We're going to have another half of this conversation because you have a lot to really tell us about this sector. So behind the cameras, maybe we'll seal that up. But that's our time for today. Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Power Generation Companies, Dr. Joy Ogaji. Thank you so much. She joined us live from our Abuja studios.
Thank you for having me, and thank you, Nigerians. Please forgive us. Power will improve.
Thank you. That's a good one. All right, then.